the show. You are one-on-one with Wes the Sports Guy here on YouTube and online all the time at westhesportsguy.com. Make sure you bookmark that site if you want to get the NBA previews, weekly reviews of the NFL, and all things having to do with the wide world of sports. Make sure you bookmark westhesportsguy.com, and as always, subscribe and hit that Liberty Bell if you want to be notified when a new video is posted here on the YouTube channel. Also, make sure you use the hashtag #OneOnOneWes to participate in the weekly conversations here with this channel. Diving right into it, the World Series has ended, and as you can tell by the jersey that I'm wearing, I am representing the now World Series champion Washington Nationals, although this is not a national jersey. This is the Montreal Expos, who were the franchise that became the Washington Nationals, as you might have already known that. Going into this World Series, they were going up against the heavily favored Houston Astros to win their second World Series in franchise history in 3 seasons, to be exact, for the Houston franchise. But alas, it didn't happen. It went 7 games. If you did not watch the series, I feel kind of sorry for you because you missed something you probably will never, ever see again when it comes to a baseball postseason and really a World Series, to be matter of fact. Not even just that, but an entire series nonetheless. You did not see a home team win a single game in the 7-game series. That has never happened in any sport, whether it be hockey, NBA, Major League Baseball, that have a series up to 7 games. It has never happened before in any of these sports, let alone baseball that we're focusing on right now. But it happened. Every single road team won the game in each of the 7 games in this series. That's something you're never ever going to see happen again. Steven Strasburg has definitely solidified himself as one of the best starting pitchers in all of baseball. We kind of figured he was, since being the number 1 overall pick for the Washington Nationals some years ago. But looking at his performance in this postseason, to be specific, a 5-0 record with an ERA that was well below 2. I think it was like 1.3, 1.4, something like that in his postseason starts. Just a phenomenal series altogether for Steven Strasburg, getting the 2 victories in his 2 starts in the series against the Astros. But also, on top of that, they had timely hitting when it came from Anthony Rendon, who's going to be a cornerstone for this franchise, you would think, going forward, assuming the Nationals can keep him as a free agent to be. You also had Juan Soto, who just turned 21 years old during the World Series, become a household name with his postseason performance, especially in the World Series. You could have gone with either one of those guys also as the MVP against the Astros, but they went with Steven Strasburg, rightfully so, because after what he did in that Game 6, where he started out, he gave up 2 runs immediately in the first inning of Game 6, but then shut it down from that point forward in that entire game, where you saw the Nationals again come from behind, where the majority of their runs, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but the vast majority of their runs in this entire postseason run for them, they scored them in the 7th inning or later in their postseason games this year. That is a phenomenal stat nonetheless for a team that had so much expectations for them for so many years now, since becoming a perennial team in the National League. Lest we forget, the Washington Nationals were heavily favored World Series contenders for many, many years. And this is also with Bryce Harper, who's now with the Philadelphia Phillies after signing his massive contract last offseason. But this is a franchise that was a heavily favored World Series contender for a lot of seasons. They finally made it come to fruition. They made it happen when nobody expected them to do it because of how horrid that bullpen was. And overall, it was a pretty bad bullpen. The back end had some good pieces. Sean Doolittle had some good performances in the postseason. Daniel Hudson, a trade deadline acquisition this year for them, also had some good performances for them in the postseason run. But overall, that was their biggest weakness. And that was actually a semi-strength for the Astros. That wasn't their biggest strength, but that was a semi-strength. But the Nationals exposed that bullpen and showed how it was kind of flawed for the Astros. Again, a lot of people also want to focus with the Astros side of things that they should have thrown Garrett Cole out there to the Wolves. Even if in a losing situation in Game 7, they should have thrown him out there. Highly advise against that because as you saw with what the Dodgers did with the Nationals in their 5-game series in the division series, you throw out your starters in a bullpen situation that they're not used to. Yes, it's a game end to end all in Game 5. Winner goes home, winner moves on, loser goes home. Clarify that real quick. But they threw Clayton Kershaw out there, and it didn't work out. I'm not saying Garrett Cole would have done anything similar to what Kershaw did, but it might have been the same kind of scenario. Garrett Cole is not used to coming out of the bullpen. He's an alpha starter. He's an ace. He is their best starting pitcher. All due respect to Justin Verlander and what Zach Greinke did in Game 7 too. He pitched phenomenally. For Zach Greinke, it was one of the best starts of his entire career. Hands down. That was an amazing performance by him in Game 7. But going forward, do I see the Washington Nationals still being contenders with the roster that they have in place, assuming they keep Anthony Rendon and assuming Steven Strasburg doesn't opt out of his contract? Absolutely. This team has very, very talented pieces in its place, young talent coming forward. If they can just shore up the back end of the bullpen a little bit more, and this is, of course, assuming Strasburg or Rendon stay, this is going to be still a contending team going forward. It always has been for the last almost full decade now. But seeing that they finally made it happen when you least expected it, in a World Series that nobody saw coming, where you had it go 7 games, and every time a road team performed the way they did, they ended up winning the game. Not a single home team got a victory in this series. You're never going to see that happen. So again, if you missed it, I do feel sorry for you. Don't miss this again. You never know what's going to happen in a World Series. No matter who you do or don't want in the series, you have to continue to pay attention to it. You'll never regret it. I guarantee it. Time for my feel-good story of the week, and this comes from first grader Jaden and his football coach, Richard Nellums.
A good coach can change the game. A great coach can change a life.
Look at the other side.
Thanks, buddy.
Hold on, he's got a little note he wrote you. He wants to read it.
Dear Coach Richard, you have been the greatest coach of my life. I love you, Richard. I want you to show me your game. You helped me love football again. Thank you for being my favorite coach, Richard.
I'm glad I wasn't up here because I would have been cry, baby.
You're crying. I'm not. There's some onions being cut in the room. But regardless, I salute both Jaden and Coach Richard. That was a beautiful moment right there. And obviously Jaden has a passion for football, as you can tell in that video. It's amazing to see. It's a great story. And you have to love seeing stuff like that, especially coming from the interaction that you have between the coach and the youngster there who apparently lost his love for football at some point. We don't know the whole backstory on that, but again, glad he got his love for football back, and I salute you both, Coach Richard and Jaden. Hopefully you guys can continue to build on that relationship, and I expect great things from both of you in the near future. Absolutely fantastic. Great story. Thank you for tuning in this week. As always, make sure you subscribe and hit that Liberty Bell to be notified when a new video is posted here on the channel. Bookmark westofsportsguy.com. Use that hashtag #OneOnOneWest. Until then, I will see you next time.